Hello, welcome back to Medical Illustration. Today in class, you should be finishing your system illustration. Hang on to those. I will collect your illustration tomorrow when I am back in the classroom. But once you finish your system illustration, our next unit is in watercolor and ink, and we're going to talk about creating both shadows in watercolor that you can use on their own or in combination with pen and ink, or colors in combination with pen and ink. And we're going to focus on creating realistic flesh colors. And so today when you finish your system illustration, what I want you to do is grab your sketchbook, and on the back counter of the classroom, there are some watercolor palettes. They look similar to this one, not exactly the same. I am at home, and so this is my paint palette at home. So I have some little different colors, and yours should be clean. You may have to share the palette with a person sitting next to you. There are paintbrushes in the palettes, and there's also a jar of paintbrushes next to the palettes. This is artist grade watercolor, and so these piles of paint here are the paint. You'll notice that I can touch them and like I'm not getting painty. Watercolor has to have water in order for it to become paint. And so today I want you to explore different recipes that you think you can find for creating your own flesh color, okay? And then all of them, right? So if I look at my hand and my arm here, I have a mole that has its own color. The top part of my hand here is one color. As I move down my fingers, that color is changing. Like my knuckles are more reddish than the back of my hand. If I turn my hand and my arm over, I get a series of other colors to work from. So even when I'm talking about me making my own flesh color, there is not one color here. There are probably 7 or 8 colors that I'm going to need to find. And so I'm going to take my sketchbook and I'm going to open up past my practice and planning sketches, and I'm just going to find a new page. Most of the colors in your palette should be labeled. And here's how watercolor works. And so in order for this color to work, I have to take water. So there are water jars under the sink, and I have to drip water on the paint. So a lot of times when my water is fresh and clean, what I'm going to do is do that to a couple of the colors that I think I'm going to use, just to kind of wake those paints up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paintbrush, and it's a little like I'm imagining my paintbrush is licking the pile of color. So you can see as I use my paintbrush here to kind of lick at the pile, this little puddle of color gets brighter and brighter red. I am then going to take that color over here on my palette and just sort of mix it around and make sure that it is not too granulate. If I want a darker color, I need more licks off the pile. Lighter color means I need to grab more water and add more water into the color. You will quickly see that one color isn't enough to make a skin color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the names of my paint, and I'm going to think about the colors that I might want to mix together to make a skin tone. And I'm going to write them down so that I have the recipe for how I made the color. When we go back, tomorrow in class, actually, we will, I will teach you how to make colors. So you can see this is the Alizarin Crimson on its own. This is mixed with burnt sienna. And now if I take water, I can make it lighter. That probably works for about here, this back maybe portion of my hand. But I'm going to need to kind of experiment further and add in a couple of other colors to sort of really explore skin tone and all of the different facets of it that I'm going to need. So for that one, I added some the Quin Gold to this combination. So this was this with Quin Gold, and this is with water. And so that's maybe a little yellow. And that's basically what I'm going to do. You will end up with a whole sheet or two of these kind of color experiments. You'll find that you'll make some that are too red, they're too brown, they're too maybe really experiment, and you put blue or purple in the color. But I want you to kind of play around and see what kind of colors it takes to make skin color. And then I will teach you how to make all of like the 6 major skin color families tomorrow in class, and then we will start using those skin colors to do some practice paintings together.